Can your lathe handle everything you'd like to throw at it, or is it always a struggle? Because if you are struggling, in this video I'll show you how to make a backplate and the wonderful perks of multiple work holding options will properly fit a solid tool post and witness the unlimited power it can give to small bench lathe, and will also align the tailstock because it's not very useful otherwise. Let's start with the backplate. Step 1 is to take measurements of the backplate you already have, if you have one, or look up the specs of your lathe nose if it has some. Because my lathe looks like some kind of long taper spindle nose, but it's metric and it makes no sense, so maybe it's an Italian ripoff, I don't know. But the good thing is that I don't have to know. I can just sample the taper angle directly from the source and play around with the angle until the indicator reads 0. Then I had to thank an awesome dude named Davide for sending over this awesome Densimet boring bar, which will be key for this project, along with this other useful tool he sent. However, before starting the backplate, I also had to embark on a quick side quest that has paid immense dividends since then. Because owning a lathe comes with the routine of setting tool's height to the center line of the spindle. And avoiding to routinely break those tools come with the caveat of setting it right. Now, there are, of course, a number of perfectly reasonable methods to do so. But my particular flavor of OCD requires me to see some numbers on a dial to actually believe things are actually where they're saying they are. So I turned this useless indicator holder I had into a very sturdy, very fast to set holder with enough reach and versatility to set every size and shape of tools straight or upside down, fast, easy, and without heavy cursing. And speaking from the future, I can assure you those were 3 hours very well spent. Okay, back to the backplate. It started as a pretty hefty hunk of metal, pretty much at the limits of this machine. But despite my very conservative cuts, something was off because I was getting a lot of bad noises. Weird, right? And then I remembered to tighten the chuck. Yeah, I know. Never ever ignore weird noises, guys. Ever. Okay, now we're talking. Although I have to admit that shaving off 4 pounds of metal, give it a take, with just a box of finishing inserts at hand wasn't exactly fast, but still pretty fun. Once the diameter for the threads was done, I drilled and bored the hole that was going to become our taper. And man, this boring bar was smooth. Thank you so much, Davide. Now the threads. The nice thing about those inserts I had is that they made very easy to cut the thread relief, which didn't really stop me from crushing the tool twice. I would have liked to try the upside down tool trick, but there wasn't enough clearance from the face of the plate, so I had just to slow down the feed and ruin multiple times the carbide insert. But eventually I got it done, which meant it was time for the vampire hunt. Using a drill to fit the compound isn't just faster, smoother and more comfortable, it also avoids the irregular spiral motion produced by hand cranking. Moment of the truth. And always remember to remove the key before testing your freshly machined taper, if there is a key. It's not easy to show on camera and it could be wishful seeing, but I could see a very consistent marker trace all around the taper. And it was also a much tighter fit on the nose than the backplate that came with the lathe. So I was very happy. At that point I just had to machine the key slot, but since my shaper identified itself as a belt grinder, I had to opt for an unorthodox approach. When your insert makes a cute little skirt instead of a cut, it's probably time to change it. Anyways, I started roughing the register for the chuck so that I could use it as a square reference to clamp the plate on the mill. Nice. Then I brought the register to final size and drilled this nifty pattern that will allow me to swap between the 4-jaw chuck and the collet chuck on the same plate, since they have the same register. And I'm lazy. And speaking of the collet chuck, which allows to re-chuck parts with minimal runout and without marking machine surfaces, I say it's not bad at all for $50 on AliExpress. And the 4 jaws is nice as well. It can hold squares for a change and machine off center or perfectly in center. It does it all, really. In fact, if a real machinist asks you what's your favorite chuck, you should always lie and say the 4 jaws. It's the collet chuck. Okay, now that I could look at the 3-jaw chuck like it was a toxic ex-girlfriend, it was time to travel once again and explore the planes of rigidity. Because rigidity is the one thing that influences both the accuracy and the performances of the machine. Enter the solid tool post, and the sponsor that has the misfortune to give body to this design, PCBWay. They made these 10 pounds of pure 5-axis CNC juiciness. I just uploaded the file, chose the specs, included this quite insulting print for the threads, and off they went. They also do laser cutting and bending, EDM cutting, any 3D printing, including metal, and of course, custom PCBs. It has always been a joy working with them, so check out their website in the link down below. Back to the lathe. I would lie if I told you that I couldn't wait to put the cross slide back on the mill again, but in order to bolt down the solid tool post, I needed 4 solid M8 holes. There I was looking down the dovetail to make sure not to touch the reference surface with the point of the top going down. You know, sometimes just a tip is more than enough to make some permanent damage. Ask my father. And since I was there was another very important fix I wanted to take care of. See that? That's a very large amount of play between the lead nut and the reference surface the nut registers against. Which means that when the nut is tightened down, it pulls up the lead screw, binding the whole mechanism. So playtime is over. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Now, before mounting the solid tool post, we need to mount the tool holder on the tool post, and you'll see why when it's all together. Unfortunately, I have to say that of all the surprisingly high quality import tooling I got over the years, this Aloris style tool holder feels sadly janky. So I went on a tangent, again, taking apart and deburring the whole thing. And doing something for this atrocious slop in the nut so that it wouldn't take a piece of my soul every time I touched it. Next, we gotta make the post itself. I used a nice piece of stainless, machining a very tight sliding fit with the tool holder and placing an M12 thread at the end. The nut to keep everything together wasn't going to be a regular nut, but a nut with its own post, so that indicators, magnification hoops and Christmas balls will be secured to it in the future when needed. Now, before you start to think that I know what I'm doing and subscribe, please note that all the credit for this tool post design goes to Mr. Robin Renzetti, a legend from whom I very much like to steal. Then it was time to put everything together. Now, the thing with this particular design is that once it's all together, it's supposed to never come apart again. And those set screws on the side are a big part of it. The way it works is that the nut keeps everything down, obviously. And the set screws apply pressure against the corner to keep everything in tension and secure like it was one piece. There's a problem though. All the forces that make this assembly delightfully rigid are also deforming this bottom surface out of flat. And if I had bolted it on the lathe as it was, I would have introduced unwanted twist and wear on the cross slide. So I had to match the assembled solid tool post with all its tensions and deformations to the flat and relaxed cross slide. Which means scraping, baby! I made this dog meat scraper in a previous video. But for this one, I want to try something a little bit different. So I made a few modifications. And we are going to pull scrape this one. I think pull scraping is supposed to give you more control than push scraping at the cost of being less aggressive in the roughing. What I can tell you is that once I got in the groove, I liked it even more than push scraping, and I was pretty jazzed by the results. The goal here was to eliminate the rocking from the 4 angles, and all in all, it took me only about 4 hours before I could finally bolt everything together. But why would anyone want to do all that? There are a couple of reasons. Like taking off 2 millimeters at the time from the diameter from this high carbon stainless alloy like it was nobody's business. And that's real speed, by the way. Or maybe taking 1 millimeter at a time from the diameter from hardened steel with a dull insert. Or maybe you'd like to do this. Behold the cheapest 2mm parting insert and holder money can buy, 900 RPM, auto feed, mild steel, but it works exactly the same on stainless, is smooth as the milk you leave for Santa at Christmas. A solid tool post really turned toys into real machines. It's amazing. And speaking of turning, if you've seen the previous video, you might have noticed I have never actually aligned the tailstock as I had promised. Well, I started by centering the bore of the tailstock with the spindle to get it in the ballpark. And then I prepped a bar to be turned between centers. A thicker bar would have been nice, but the bore in the spindle of this machine is only 22 millimeters, so that's what I had to work with. Then it was just a matter of taking a pass, measure the top and the bottom of the bar, split the difference and move the tailstock, checking with the indicator to compensate. And theoretically, you just repeat the procedure until the top and the bottom of the bar read the same number. Practically though, I chased my tail around 10 microns for quite a while. And here's the reason. But for now, it's fine. I'll get back to it when I'll have a better lathe center or a tool post grinder, whichever comes first. Let me know about your performance mods in the comments, and I'll see you pretty soon in the next project where we'll use the lathe for finally make something, and it will be pretty special too. Cheers.